Good evening and welcome to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting. It is March 5th, 2020, 7 p.m. Call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum. The prayer will be with Alderman Church. The Pledge of Allegiance will be with Alderman No. I do want to ask everyone before that if we could take a moment of silence for all the victims of the horrendous tornadoes that have affected Nashville, Mount Juliet, Cookeville, and the surrounding areas. If everyone would please rise for the prayer and the pledge, I will go ahead and lead the prayer. Dear Lord and Heavenly Father, we just ask that you will lift up this community and put your hedge of protection on it. We thank you for the safety that you have provided this week, and we ask that you heal and touch those people that have been affected by the tornadoes in this area. We ask that you be with our emergency personnel all throughout Middle Tennessee, and we thank you for your provision. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business is to approve the minutes from the February 1st, 2020 regular meeting. Need a motion to approve.
Make a motion to accept as submitted.
Have a motion to accept as submitted by Alderman Jones. Need a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to presentations. To have our friends with Homes Group come up. Welcome, welcome. Come on over. Get everybody up here. This is a certificate of recognition to BH Homes Construction Company for being an outstanding member of our community and helping countless families by paying off their school lunch debt. We want to thank y'all for what y'all have done for this community. It affects people all throughout the county, and we want you to know how much we appreciate that. So thank you. Moving on to department reports. Welcome back, Chief Clark.
I didn't know there was a fishing tournament around. Where did he go?
That's Saturday. I've provided the response report for the month of February. One of the things that I'd like to bring out is our Explorers. Back in the middle of the month, our Explorers traveled to Gatlinburg, what's called Winterfest. They placed in the top 20 of many departments and children that were there, and they did a fantastic job. Also want to commend our mentors that traveled with them and made that trip successful. And we're very proud of them. Any other questions?
I have one. If you don't mind, could you just elaborate on the status of your employee that lives in Wilson County?
Yes, we had an employee that was on duty the night of the tornado. He got a phone call, I'm not sure from his wife or from a relative, that his house was struck by the tornado. He immediately left work under the approval of our acting battalion chief, and at that point in time, I was notified. His residence, and along with his family, had moderate damage done to the home. Some of our firefighters went to assist him that morning to make sure that he got into his house, and then help board that up. So, you know, one of the biggest things is we take care of our own, and we're proud of it. Also, I'd like to, we have another lieutenant that's there at the fire department. His wife has been very sick. Keep him in his prayer, and his family, and we're working with him and making sure that he has everything that he needs as well.
Also, Chief, I just got bits and pieces of the information as I was reading some of the email that I'm still having problems with, but no hit on you, Glenn. But I just want to make sure that Laverne was in the compact. They were helping other counties, correct?
What transpired in the tornado response is that how things in the mutual aid system works is one covers another while they're gone on a deployment. It was our time to cover other areas while others went. That's what we did. We stayed back. We actually worked behind the scenes. I had several calls from the state trying to get resources to them, identify resources that are needed, such as an urban search and rescue dogs, cadaver dogs, and other resources that they called upon our department to find for them while others were working and trying to get them organized and sent up there. So there's a lot of things that goes on behind the scenes, even though you didn't see our fire department trucks there on site in Nashville or Mount Juliet or Cookeville. We were in close contact with officials with the state and assisting them in gathering those resources and getting them there. Also, real quick, I forgot to add, there's 2 thank you notes that are attached to this document. One is from the military. We had Lieutenant John Rutledge to travel to Mississippi to assist in instructing what's called a tactical casualty course. We taught the military folks how to take care of trauma patients. That was greatly appreciated from the military, and then also the explorers. Each individual that went to the Winterfest also provided you a thank you note.
Thank you.
Chief, I have a question.
Yes.
Before you leave. When, were you involved with the Public Works guys rolling out also?
No, sir, I was not. What transpired there was that they had an email from the city administrator from Mount Juliet area, from what I can gather, that requested those services. And they went through that direction. During these times, we get different orders that come from different places. That origin came straight from the city administrator to the city administrators Middle Tennessee Association. That's how that response went.
Would this be something that Box 100 would roll out since we have Laverne employees out there?
If the request was made. So how this transpires is that these companies have to be requested. They can't self-deploy or any of those kind of things. So if those personnel are not on those records, on the request, so if they call Laverne Fire Department to that site, they count heads of how many that's supposed to be there. If they're not, then a lot of times what happens is, even though we love to volunteer and assist others, there's paperwork and reimbursement that goes along with that.
Right.
And so therefore, we have to be very careful on how we send our people out to, and workman's comp, one of them got injured. So we have to be very careful on how that goes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Police Department, Chief Walker.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Alderman, I want to add something to Holmes all left before I could add to what you'd said. For the last few years, they've really stepped up, stepped forward, and a lot of bicycles have been all over Laverne at that special time of the year where children receive gifts, and they've done that for a good while. To be honest with you, we were able to supply all the bicycles for the last 3 or 4 years that were included in requests. And then they have also offered for us, when it comes time and we move forward with it, to look at the range, to do the dirt work for us, for a range over behind the water plant in that area that's safe. So they've done a whole lot of things in the community, and I want to make sure that was added. It's been a long, hard week. It's been an emotional week for all of us. We did not deploy initially. We waited until there were requests, and I haven't had a chance to even talk to Bruce yet. It was late this afternoon. I did go ahead and indicate to Tennessee Association of Chiefs of Police that we would be willing to respond to assist Cookville and Putnam County. That request came this afternoon through our state association. They were waiting to make sure they knew what they had and where they were going and get the initial search rescue part of it done, and then with the recovery, that's going to be even more, and that's where the security part comes in. I've been there many times all across this state in my former life, and once everything's begin calming down, that's when more of the ne'er-do-goods come to town. And the scammers have already started across Middle Tennessee and other places. There's already been issues in all these communities where the damage is there. I don't know the reason for the shooting in North Nashville last night, but apparently there was one. It may have been 2 neighbors, who knows? I don't know, I haven't heard today, but those things are gonna happen. And they will steal anything and everything. They could care less. And they'll come in under the guise of helping people, and all they're doing is ripping off one way or another. That's one of the reasons that I posted what I did on LPD's Facebook page yesterday, for people to help and be willing to help, but be careful when you do, because those folks are out there. The reports here, you'll see that the total cost for service so far this calendar year have dropped for the fiscal year. They're down a little bit. And then I want to tell you that there was an email sent with a package yesterday. That package in and of itself, the second edition, is actually posted now. There's Ann. On the website, there's a link there for it. Well, actually, it's there, and you can scroll through it. There's also a link from our Facebook page to that link so that people can go to it and see it. And that gives you an idea in the first 2 months of this year what we're able to do now with some of the technology we've got that we were able to purchase this past year. And those things will be coming more frequently. And we're beginning to get some things that we have access to now that we didn't for a while, for whatever reason, with some of the things working like they should. But I will tell you, the crime mapping is still there on the website. We're having an issue with people trying to send us Facebook questions or tell us about things on Facebook. We had one last night, yesterday. A lady was telling us about a guy with a gun that was following her husband on Cheney. That's a 911 call, folks. That's not a Facebook message. We don't have the personnel to sit and watch Facebook 24/7, 365. Please call us when those things occur. Wednesday night. What's the date? Thursday? Tuesday night. Sorry. It was a very long day. Our folks worked that evening, not long after dark, all the way through the night, all day yesterday, and even into last night, working on a double murder. As far as most of the people at LPD can remember, they don't remember a double murder here. We've had murder-suicides, but not a double murder. I will tell you that I'm very proud of the community where we were, because people were able to come to us and talk to us without getting into details. We were able to get a lot of information that helped us find and locate and take into custody 2 people, interview them, who were there and present and was with the actual shooter. The shooter is not in town, but there is a warrant for the shooter's arrest, and it's been put out to many different areas and places, and hopefully that person will be found and brought back here to stand trial. But I can't say how proud I am of the folks we have. We have some of the sharpest, hardest working, most dedicated law enforcement officers anywhere. We still have one shooting. There's been a lot of questions about this one and that one, et cetera. We have one shooting where we have no information because nobody would talk. That's the Cullen Drive shooting where the young man was shot and killed, because nobody will step forward. We weren't there. We didn't have video. We didn't have anything involved in it, and that one we're still struggling with. There was another one that there was a lot of comments about, but we actually went back there. That's a location we went to recently where we recovered a sizable amount of heroin, pretty good amount of marijuana, was a convicted felon with a weapon, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The stepdad of the young man that was shot. So, yeah, there are a lot of things going on, a lot of information coming, and our people are beginning to step up, and that's what we need them to do. We need the good people to tell us what's going on and where it's going on. Makes our job a little bit easier to find out, because you can watch CS all you want to, but it doesn't work that way. You can't resolve anything and make the arrest and have them prosecuted in 50 minutes.
That's right.
Or less. So I encourage everybody to let us know what's going on, let us know what's happening. Use that phone and call us. If it's not an emergency, use the non-emergency number, 793-7744.
Chief, I have a question. How's Felicia? You got an update on her?
Felicia is slowly progressing with her healing. She still is working through healing and recovering, and that's going to go on for a while. And they tried to do some rehab, but she was not ready. Unfortunately, the wrong doctor was ordering the rehab, and the continuing care doc is the one that said, you're not ready. You don't need to be doing that. So because of some injuries that I can't get into and I can't talk about, but keep her in your thoughts and prayers. She's going to start crazy at home, but as soon as she can get able, we're gonna have her doing some things as soon as we can, and have her back on light duty because she's a very capable young lady. But just keep her in your thoughts and prayers, continuing healing.
In a situation like this, is this something that does FOP get involved and assist on the financial side of things?
FOP will when that time comes. Right now, and Cheryl can speak to it better than I can, but there may be an opportunity for us down the road, once this initial time off she has, paid leave. There's some other options that are there that Cheryl has worked on and talked about and talked to her about. And then even down the road, we have, because the board allowed us to do it, 2 years ago or so, 3, maybe now, to donate sick leave time.
Okay.
And yes, our folks will step up and do that too. But yeah, FOP will take care. I
Chief.
promise you that.
Chief, can you talk about the importance of the 9 p.m. routine, especially with the number of guns taken from vehicles?
You're talking about that pound 9 p.m. routine thing. That's not a hashtag, that's pound sign, folks. Hashtag 9 p.m. routine. We've done it, we've talked about it, I've tweeted it, we've even had it on our LPD Facebook page, but I've tweeted it for over 2 years now, begging people to lock your cars, take your valuables out of your car. We did a PSA last week with Sheriff Fitzhugh, Chief Arnold, Chief Mike Bowen at Murfreesboro, and I were there in Murfreesboro, and we did a PSA with us, and it'll be out and about on Channel 3, and there will be things coming that Ann's going to be putting out about the 9 p.m. routine. In that packet that I gave you, some of the things that we talked about was motor vehicle theft, and we also talked about theft from motor vehicles, and there were 29 cases of theft from motor vehicles, I believe it was, and all 29 victims left their vehicles unlocked from January 1 through the end of February. We have guns that are stolen from vehicles that people leave, phones, tablets, laptops, et cetera, and cash and wallets and credit cards, you name it. Everything in the world they leave and don't lock. Please, that 9 p.m. routine, be sure you have everything locked up, everything valuable out of your car where it's not visible. And don't leave it unlocked, and certainly don't leave the keys in the doggone thing. We even have that too, where they don't have to do anything except they find the key, plug it in, and here they go. You know, if it's like my Equinox, that's in my pocket. I can go get in it if it's in my pocket. You'd be surprised how many people leave those things in the car. It means they get in, crank it, here they go. They can keep going. Engine won't die. So please push 9 p.m. routine. And we've had a lot of response recently on our Facebook page, and we appreciate that too, with folks interacting. We just need them to call us when we need the call instead of the Facebook note.
Any other questions?
I have one, just a statement that I'd like to make. As far as your Felicia, the officer that was injured, and also the fire chief, if we've got an individual that was living in Wilson County whose house was damaged, I think, by it. I just want to say one other thing. We've, as you all know, I've said it many times, I work at the VA, and we've got individuals that work at the VA whose homes were destroyed. We've already got GoFundMe accounts for these individuals, and they knew nothing about it. So before you open your heart, and don't start to disbelieve everyone, but before you open your heart, I don't know if we can get with the chiefs and call the non-emergency number and see if this individual has a GoFundMe account set up before you donate money. Okay, because we've got, again, we've got 2 individuals that had GoFundMe accounts that was drawing money in, and they knew nothing about it. I mean, I would think that if you're going to do it, you would tell the individual that you got money set for them. So there are scams out there. And also, while I'm on the record, for anyone who's had damage, make sure you check with the BBB and check and see if they're licensed. Don't take anything from any outside company saying they'll come fix your home and you can pay them. You know, just make sure you be alert of the situation.
The overwhelming majority of people out there are doing it
Out of the
for the
kindness
love
their
of
heart.
others and taking care of their neighbors and doing unto others what they would have done. But
I
there
just
are
want to say,
those.
just be attentive. Don't get sour and don't get mad at individuals, but understand that if it's a buck to be made, somebody's gonna try to get it the easy way. So if you see something, say something on that. Just check on it.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Codes Department, Mr. Randolph Salyers.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Alderman. How y'all doing tonight?
Doing well,
Good?
sir.
Good. The report's in front of you. Not much really interesting to look at or to read from it, so I'll basically just say this, that starting Monday, I will be in the midst of beginning a building review for a much anticipated facility to be built in this community that's greatly anticipated out off Mason Road. Most of you know who that is. They'll be getting permits for that real soon, I will say that. Our InterGov, we are still in the midst of trying to get a launch date for the citizen support side of things. Hopefully, we'll have more on that next month. There is a gentleman that we are now working with at InterGov to try and formulate a plan, a date, so that we can get this launched for the citizens to begin their application processes online. I had a conference call with this guy last week, and the gentleman that did a lot of the integration, the implementation of that is in a big project. I think it's Idaho, Utah, somewhere west of here, that he's been steadily tied up with a couple of hundred users at that one location. So that's obviously been a deep, in-depth process, and we would like to get him back into the saddle here to work with us and walk us through this customer side. We've tested it some. It seems to be working okay. We just we'd like for a builder or two to reach out so that we can get them and we've talked to some builders. It's not like we're not doing anything at all trying to get that started, but it's a process that we're not familiar with at all. But we're slowly reducing that learning curve on it so that when we do launch this to the citizen support side, they'll have some seamless support on our end that we'd be able to help them walk them through any issues they might have. Working on trying to get the department fully staffed. We've got I have two open positions, one of which I'm going to start interview process on Monday, and working the kinks out on the other to try and get it posted so that we can hopefully get some qualified candidates for that position to get them in here so that the department will be fully staffed. We had one to resign from the department and move to another, which left an opening in the codes department. And as I said, I'll begin the interview process on that on Monday to get that position filled, and hopefully we'll get someone back in that saddle real quick to kind of help with some of the workload that we're experiencing right now. We'll be getting into the grass mowing season real quick, and I'd like to get that person put into place and give them the basics and then just throw them to the wolves. So, but it will be a trial by fire for whomever takes that position, and I will work it through. But that's basically all I have to report to you tonight. If you got any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Randolph, one question I've got, which I'm looking at your report, and last year, single-family permits at this time was 52, and and the current is at 16. So,
Well, if you look, this month we did 13, so that means that we did 3 in January. So it was a slow start to the new year. We have got some projects coming on board. I've got probably close to a dozen to do, at least 9 that I'm aware of right now, single-family dwellings, to get permits out for them, hopefully before middle of the week next week. So already, you know, within the first week and a half of March, there's 9 that I can tell you right now that are in the queue to be reviewed, looked at, and get signed off on and get the permits out the door. So it may be a slow start to 2020, but with what I see from the planning standpoint, things that are about to happen here in this community, it's going to be a busy year. I do see that in the long run. I mean, the trends are kind of up and down, but we'll be there.
Any questions on the codes report?
Yeah, I have a question, Randolph. Over the last 4 or 5 years, has there been any more interest of developments of senior living?
I've not known of any.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Parks and Recreation, Mr. David McGowan.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Board, thank you. You have the parks numbers for the month of February. You see our project, which we're hopefully about to wrap it up. Past events, February 14th was the Senior Valentine Dance. February 22nd, we reopened our playground. Upcoming events, March the 10th is the Master Plan Public Screening. That'll be at the library from 5:30 to 7. You don't have to stay the whole time. If anybody can drop by for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, we would definitely love your input to where you want to see the parks going and what we would like to see our community build together. April 4th will be the Easter egg hunt. Upcoming meetings, March 16th is a Park and Rec Advisory meeting.
I'm sorry, David.
Yes, sir.
What date did you say?
For the master plan is March the 10th.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
from 5:30 to 7. Easter egg hunt, April 4th. Upcoming meetings, March 16th, Park and Rec Advisory. March 16th is the Historical Preservation Advisory Committee. And March 19th is the Senior Center Advisory. Back to our reopening of our playground. Want to thank this board for giving us the opportunity to do that. We want to thank Great Southern Rec, Felicia Anderson and Bruce for hammering out the bid. That was a lengthy process. We're glad we got that right. And the Parks team for making sure it came in under budget. That morning, we had our first casualty on the merry-go-round. Little fella had too much breakfast, thought he was going to get on there and spin. That didn't work out too well for him. And today, we had our first request to build another one just like that. So it's a big hit. We appreciate you guys letting us do that. Any questions?
So more of a comment. David, I remember when they erected the original park. I know you were there too, so 20 years later.
Yeah, it's amazing to
It's well
see. It doesn't matter. Once we knew he was going to have to open it up. The benches should go in tomorrow. The swings should go back up tomorrow, hopefully. There were so many kids out there. Once the weather hits, you know, we didn't have an option but to go ahead and make that available. 70 degrees, 30 degrees, it's packed.
For a minute, I thought we were going to have to put SWAT out there when you had it closed. There was a lot of kids on it.
It was a little scary walking amongst 120 kids and telling them they had to vacate. It's not a position I'd like to be in again. But they're excited, and I can't blame them for that, you know.
Right.
But any other questions?
I went up there last weekend, it was packed, but the one event coming up, March 21st,
Senior yard sale. Yes, sir.
that's right, epic.
Yep. Any other questions?
I want to thank everybody who came out to that. It was definitely fun for the kids. They helped cut the ribbon, and they were all over that, although I was expecting to see Alderman Jones on the zip line with Alderman No pushing, but I think I missed that moment.
Not gonna happen.
And then the Senior Valentine's Dance. My dance partner is here, and that was amazing. That was a lot of fun, and it was definitely a packed house in there.
Yes, sir. Any other questions? Thank you, guys.
Finance Department, Ms. Phyllis Rogers.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Alderman. You have the monthly report through the end of January in your packet. Just a couple of things going on in the Finance Department this month. Of course, we're deep into budgets. We've already had department meetings with just about all of the department heads and gone over basic operating expenses. We will be having our planning retreat next weekend to do some more discussion, hopefully start looking at capital and start talking about capital items. And that's Thursday, Friday, and all day Saturday. I do want to bring to your attention that during the month of February, we received our sales tax for the month of December, and for the first time ever, our sales tax, our part of the sales tax was over $1 million. So that's the first time ever, and that was a great month. At this, as of today, we have collected about 91% of our property taxes. Any questions?
Phyllis, I have a comment. The planning retreat is when?
Next Thursday night starts at 6:30, Friday night at 6:30, and it starts at 8 o'clock Saturday morning.
Is this something that, my situation with the tornado response
There's no excuses.
for the Middle Tennessee
There's no,
region, I'm not going to be able to make it those days. Is it something that we can change, Bruce?
That's entirely up to the mayor, really.
Well,
Would that
we've
be
got-
something we could work with?
We've got a time frame though, to put the budget together. I think we have, 3 or 4 meetings in April already for the actual budget workshops.
Yeah.
And then we start voting on that, in May and June. So
I actually just need to move it 3 days, if that's possible. So if that would be something that we could do, move it to the next week.
if you can email it over, we need to have a look to see what's already scheduled with, as far as the planning commission. I know that we meet that week, I believe, and then the other meetings. Just send that over to Bruce and we can have a look at that.
I just want to make sure the board is aware that we are in the middle of a crisis right now, and I'm stuck there. So I'll send that email over to Bruce. Thank you.
Phyllis, can you go into the email that you sent over about SunTrust and the large
Yes.
change that we have with them?
SunTrust had approached us back in July or August last year to give us some good news that that they had been able to reclassify a couple of our bank accounts. And with that reclassification, we were able to start earning a lot better interest rate. This past couple of weeks, we spoke to them again. They had basically I asked them to look at one of our larger bank accounts to see if they could flip that same switch on, because they had flipped it on a smaller account, and they contacted me about a week later, and they were able to turn that switch on. So it's a difference of about $12,000 to $13,000 a month in interest versus the $700 and $800 that we were getting. So
That is huge, from
Yeah.
$700 to $800 to $12,000 a month. Good job. Alderman Jones, did you have a question?
No, I was just going to say, we're still going to get our packet prior to. That first day when we do our introduction, as far as the planning retreat, you give us a real thick, that I have a nightmare
that's
about
the
every
budget-
year.
That's the budget workshops.
Right. So
Now,
we're
the-
still going to get a packet so everyone can see it, right?
The planning retreat, each individual department head will present you with their
That's what I
presentation,
understood.
whether it's a PowerPoint or
Yeah,
a
yeah.
handout, yes.
Okay.
Everybody will present you with
So,
something.
I mean, the reason I asked that is there will be no definitive vote at that time. We'll
No,
still
it's
be
just
able
a
to study it
discussion.
prior to.
It's just mainly to, it's a planning retreat. It's for us to get together and discuss capital needs for the next few years and look at what,
Understood. I just wanted to clarify that.
Is this the time where the nonprofits will come up too?
no.
Okay.
That will be in April. We have 3 meetings. We have actually 3 budget workshops in the month of April. And that's where we will go over each individual fund. We'll go over nonprofits. We will narrow down what our capital requests have been and pick and choose which ones that we can afford to do this next year.
All right.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Phyllis.
Thank you.
Water treatment plant, Mr. Greg Purcell.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Board. Before I start in the report, always, if you have any concerns about the water quality or if you have a problem with the water, give us a call, 615-793-6536, and we will respond to that inquiry. In the month of February, we treated 119.5 million gallons of water. We distributed 94.25 million gallons of water to the citizens of Vergne. It wasn't in the packet because I just received the results today. The TOC removal was 64%. Again, the requirement's 15. So I think it was 4 point sometimes better. Our THMs and HAA numbers are also in the packet. We do that every quarter. The THMs were 24.5 on average parts per billion, and the MCL is 80. And the HAA 5s was 17.9 parts per billion, and that MCL is 60. So well below the maximum contaminant levels. One of the big maintenance things that went on in the month of February was every pipe around that facility was labeled, whether it be a water line, a chemical line, an air line. It took a lot of time and resources, but our maintenance staff took care of that in the month of February. Any questions?
Yes, sir. Two different questions. For people who contact you and we identify that it's a flushing issue, that their line needs to be flushed.
Yes, sir.
Are you guys taking care of that, or what's the recommendation to those individuals?
Well, and with that one, with the line, it was the distribution line. I think it was towards a dead end, needed to be flushed. And what we end up doing is when we find these situations to where, okay, they're having a problem, we put them on a every 3 or every 6 month rotation. We have a couple of them that we do now. About every 6 months, we go out and flush, and those people have seen that, seen their, no more issues.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Public Works Department, Mr. Garland Russell.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Alderman. This is for the month of February. We've been pretty busy this month doing our pothole patching and tree trimming. We still got brush out there, close to 100,000 pounds this month. But the inmates have been busy cleaning up the trash and stuff on the side of the roads. Shop's been pretty busy. I think we had 12 hours with the fire department, just doing preventive maintenance. And then this week we have been, or Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, have been at the city of Mount Juliet. So Bruce contacted me Tuesday morning. I think we were there by, he called at 7, we were there by 9:30. It was kind of a cluster to start with. We had no cell phone service, no nothing. We knew nothing where we was at. It went good. Second day, instead of hauling all the brush and debris to a site down the road, it wound up going to the city of Lebanon. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, Lebanon, on the other side of it. Hour-and-a-half trip. So today, we had a good day today. They found a place. It was probably a 20-minute turnaround and stayed busy. A lot of volunteers up there. Man, get fat working up there. I brought up the issue of nobody had restrooms or nothing around, and they brought porta johns into the subdivision that was working. And I want to thank all of my guys, and Michael, and Adam, for his people. All of us was there. I talked to one of the board members from, I don't know if they're aldermen or what, but he come out and talked to me this morning, and we worked some things out, and we had a good day.
Well, we appreciate
Just glad we was able to
everybody's.
go. But my guys, poor Michael, he worked through the first day, but it was rough on him. He had the stomach bug, but he made it.
Well, we greatly appreciate all the departments stepping up and stepping in. We had 20 people go as
Yeah,
in all.
we roughly kind of figured it on a spreadsheet. I have not received Adam's report, or not his hours and stuff, but right now we're standing at 472 and a half hours.
Wow,
And
that's amazing.
Today we run 2 brush trucks. We had a total of 6 trucks and a Mini X and 2 Bobcats. So we had a good day today.
Also heard from some residents living on Blair Road. They saw where your guys have been out there patching some holes, so they wanted me to pass along a big thank you for that.
Yeah, you read my mind. I got the same thing. When's the asphalt plants open up?
Don't know.
Don't know. I mean, no.
I'm serious. It'll be,
I mean, no,
it'll
that's
be
fine.
April.
People
If we start
ask
getting
me.
good weather here in the middle of March, 1st of April, they'll start opening up. I
You
talked
know-
with the guy from Rogers Group, and this was down for maintenance up here. If we can get asphalt out of Murfreesboro, I'll go there and get it, but, you know, usually where it's open is way out. You know, maybe Franklin, Vulcan's open there, or another county. It's not feasible to go out there for.
I like what the Park and Rec, Fire Department, Police Department, especially on social media, everybody's got their own page, kind of letting everybody know what's going on. It'd be great if we had like the Public Works portion and show everybody where it's going to be paved at and when it's going to be paved, and or at
Well, we
least.
hadn't finished last year's yet.
Or at least let them know that they're in the discussion.
Okay.
You know, this is a projected thing. So that way,
I'm sorry, go ahead. I thought you
go ahead.
I have a statement, more of a comment. I actually seen firsthand a lot of the Public Works people from the area where we were working, and the comments and things that the people in the community are talking. When you're at a restaurant and you're getting a little rehab and you hear, you know, Laverne there is out there, Gallatin was out there. There's a lot of different.
City of Chattanooga come in.
Chattanooga sent some people. Cleveland, Tennessee sent some people. But I really recommend maybe Chief Clark can put together a spreadsheet for you on, so when we
We already up on
look at there, you guys are already on it, so.
Oh, that's
Because-
what I was saying, we started a
Okay.
spreadsheet. We just
Because
had-
it gets crazy.
We got back at 5 today.
And
so
you
we
just
did-
seen the beginning of it.
Yes.
We're about 4 more days of still under the emergency side, and then it's really going to get hectic because everyone that is cleaning up, that stuff gets put on the side of the road.
You
And
see it on TV. It's not
It doesn't
bad,
give it the
but
same.
When you get,
That's
when
right.
you're there and you see the people,
But this is the best training for our staff because unfortunately, if something like this ever was to happen in Laverne, our guys seen firsthand what a disaster is, and they're out there doing it. And I was so proud, and it warmed my heart as a citizen of Laverne, not even as an alderman, just somebody that lives here to watch our guys do their stuff. So hands off
another
to
thing I'll
you.
say, I had noticed a guy yesterday pulling lumber that it blew off his house down to the road. But his house was destroyed.
That's right. That's right. And another thing I also noticed, some of the people that are working with your guys, they're staying in shelters. We get to go home at night, all of us. You know, I'm making the commute every day myself. And the folks we're working right next to, their homes are destroyed. So,
And one more thing I'd like to say, but going around today, looking at all of this, people was sitting out in front of their house. The whole top's gone, one side of it's gone, but there was a 5-year-old
That's
boy
right.
walking around out there with a little push cart, and he was picking rocks and sticks up out of the yard and bringing them out to the road.
yeah. And if that doesn't, if that doesn't bring back something, there isn't anything out there that can.
Any
And
more questions?
that's it, man.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Utilities Department, Mr. Michael Dietz.
I'm sorry.
Mayor Alderman, good afternoon. Month of February, pretty consistent with the last 2 months. Wet and 0 mainline repair, so that's always a good thing. Service line repairs, there were 3. However, with the blessing of this board, if we get the bid, the leak detection bid approved tonight, we're gonna start that midweek next week. So there's always some underground that go unseen and unknown of, so that number will increase. Little project we took on in-house, we installed roughly 40 foot of water line in Woodland Hills subdivision on Glen Summer Cove. The goal there is to hopefully, in the future, Woodland Hills has always been a difficult subdivision to isolate, so if we get a repair, a lot of homes are out of water. So we completed a small tie-in between a 6 and a 12-inch water line, so hopefully we'll be able to isolate it and keep individuals or residents with water. It won't affect the whole subdivision. So we took that on in-house. It's ongoing with the lines installed, we're waiting on samples, and then we'll tie it in hopefully next week. It was planned to do this week, but obviously with the situation that occurred. Other than that, I really don't have anything else. If y'all have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
That's a good idea that y'all had for tying that in. That's a common complaint. If one of those lines break at Woodland Hills, especially at the very front,
Yes, sir.
the rest of it's all out of water, so good job.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Human Resources is Cheryl.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Aldermen. Just want to give you an update on some things for HR. We're currently focused on our current pay study that we're getting ready to look at for our upcoming budget meetings next month. Employees will go through our annual boot camp compliance training in May, and that provides continued learning, opportunity, and reinforcement of existing knowledge related to policies and procedures. So we're excited about that. Planet Fitness Partnership is in full launch, and it's absolutely skyrocketing, out of this world, stargazing, and is extraordinary as of March 1st. We have 18 participants, and happy to say that fire and police departments are doing promotional and agility testing, and other city departments are going through hiring processes. So we're up and running. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Moving on to old business, second reading, ordinance 2020-02, an ordinance to amend Title II, Chapter 3, Section 2-301 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding the membership of the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee. Need a motion to approve or deny?
I'll make a motion to approve as written.
I have a motion to approve from Alderman Church. Need a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman No and Jones. Alderman Church.
Aye.
Alderman No.
Aye.
Alderman Jones.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to the consent agenda. A motion to approve or deny?
Make a motion to approve.
A motion to approve from Alderman Jones. Need a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman No. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda passes. Moving on to new business. First reading, ordinance 2020-03, an ordinance to amend the City of Laverne zoning ordinance by changing the official zoning map for tax map 14, parcels 36, 36.01, and 36.02, and tax map 14F, Group A, parcels 1.01, consisting of approximately 9.07 acres located adjacent to 301 Bill Stewart Boulevard from an R1 low-density residential zoning district to a PDR, Planned Density Residential Zoning District, with a R3 high-density residential-based zoning district. This received a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission on January 28th, 2020, and we did have a public hearing on that here tonight. Need a motion to approve or deny?
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve from Vice Mayor Brown. Need a second?
I second for discussion.
Second from Alderman Church. Okay. Open it up for discussion.
If it's possible, may we have the engineer come up?
We'd need to suspend the rules.
Well, before we, is that possible too? Maybe
You would
suspend
need to
the
make a
rules?
motion.
Okay.
Make a motion to suspend the rule.
I have a motion to suspend the rule. Need a second.
I second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Mr. Womble, if you would please. State your name and address for the record.
Danny Womble, 40 Middleton Street, Nashville, Tennessee.
Mr. Womble, thank you for speaking with us tonight. As you can see from the public hearing, the concern with this development is the income base. And it's important, I would like for you to engage in conversation with us on, is it something, the number one thing Laverne's asked for during, I don't know, probably the last 10 years is senior housing. And this development is something that you guys are trying to provide. The feelings that I'm getting and the emails that I'm receiving from residents are on the rezoning request in itself, because it's so, on the developer side of things, there's wonderful things that's in our community that the developer has been a part in, such as our library and Station 3 and several things that he didn't get any recognition for. On the same note, there's a lot of negativity in the community with things that the same developer is involved in. So to ease my mind, the PDR, going back and doing some research, one of the statements you made in planning was it's a average about $1 a square foot to rent. That's the rent rate in this area. Can you go into more detail on that? So are you saying a 500 square foot home, is it going to be $500 a month? Or is there, at what point is this affordable for our citizens? That's what I need to know.
Right. Yes, I'm glad to address that. First of all, let me say that I agree with you. I would characterize the comments that I've heard both at the workshop and in the public hearing is that there's several needs in the 55-plus community that could basically be lumped into two categories. One is we're not providing assisted housing, and that's true, we're not, because that's not this developer's business. And the other one was that there is a legitimate need in Laverne to have some affordable units. And I agree with that, I understand that. The thing, though, that I don't want to get lost in this discussion is that this project has had more support than any rezoning request that I've ever brought before this board in 35 years. Also, I'd like for you to look at the fact that this is a really good start for housing for the senior community. Now, 20 years ago, you heard Mr. Schreibman's presentation. He did a senior housing project. It was a project that had a affordable component to it. Basically, it was a project, if I remember correctly, that the federal government had a special program that provided a 1% interest rate for the financing of the project amortized over 40 years. That allowed the cost of the development to be reduced to where then the units were able to reduce the rental rates to where they were affordable. So he has brought an affordable project for senior housing to Laverne. In 20 years, to my knowledge, there hasn't been another project. At this point, at this time, with this land and with what's going on in the development community, he doesn't have the connections or the partners to make this project an affordable housing project. So we tried to address that, as you are correct in saying. I addressed it at the Planning Commission meeting. We used some design elements in the project to try to address the affordability rather than having a financial component to address it. And what we did was, rather than having all the units around 1,000 or 1,200 square feet, like Nancy's place is, which is what this is patterned after, we incorporated 40% of the units around 500 to 700 square feet, average about 600 square feet. I don't know what the rents will be or what the per square foot rent will be, as I said in the Planning Commission. But as a rule of thumb, just for an example, to determine what the parameters are and kind of to look at this concept, if the rents were $1 a square foot, then the 1,000 square foot units would be $1,000. A 500 square foot unit would be about $500. That gives you the magnitude and the difference of what happens to the rents by using this design component in this project of having some units that are smaller. And that's the way we tried to address that.
Thank you for answering those questions.
Thank you.
I have a statement and then a question, and depending on the answer, I guess he won't talk to me.
Well, no, you said you were making a statement. Do you-
No, I'm sorry, I got a statement and I want to ask you a question, and
I'm sorry.
depending,
Okay.
depending on your answer will depend on if I have more questions.
Okay,
I was not at that meeting at the senior center, so everything that I could say is what I heard. I don't have any reason to not believe the people that told me these things, but everything that you all are telling us is not what they say you told them. And we'll let it go at that. So this next question will determine if I have more questions. And to go off what Alderman Church said, I guess we're at a lock here. This is definitely not going to be any kind of, and when I use the word assisted, I'm not talking about physically. I'm talking about financially, whether it's state or HUD or whoever controls that. This is definitely not going to be that. When it gets built and the time comes, it's going to be market value rent plus utilities. Yes or no?
that's correct. And I'd like to also address the statement you made about the presentation at the public hearing with the seniors. The presentation we made was exactly the same thing we said at the planning commission and the same thing we've said at this workshop and the same thing we've said here tonight. And so there was probably 30 to 40 people there. It was overwhelmingly positive. We have, I think, 5 people I counted here tonight. I heard the comments the same as you. They were basically in support of the project, but asking for some type of component that would make the rental income affordable or subsidized in some way. And as I've already answered, we tried to do that with the design component of making units smaller. But no, it's not a government housing project. It's not government subsidized, and it's not going to be government financed.
Mr. Womble, I have a question. If it was government subsidized, would it affect the values of the homes in the area?
Well, I'm not an appraiser, but just my common sense, yes, it would. It would, I think, reduce the values of the homes in the area if it was.
Was there any members of the board at the presentation at the Senior Citizen Center?
I think the mayor was at the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait, if you don't mind.
Of course.
I just want to make some statements and then just make sure that I'm on track here. First, affordability is subjective. So what is affordable to me or to someone else might not be affordable to another person or another family or another situation. We already have in Laverne, albeit a very overcrowded and long waiting list, we already do have some housing available that is income-based. But what I'm understanding is this is not an income-based or subsidized housing option for elderly people. It is not a nursing home. It is not an assisted living situation. And the affordability is that these are smaller units that may be affordable compared to, for instance, getting an apartment at market rate in Laverne. So this is still, because of the size of some of these units, more affordable than having an apartment. It's not necessarily affordable for someone that is on Social Security or Social Security disability. We have identified a need for an income-based housing solution for the elderly, in addition to what we already have. But that's not mutually exclusive with what you're presenting here. Is that correct?
Correct.
You're presenting one option for one income level, which would be, it would be affordable for some, but not for all. And the goal is not to eliminate the fact that we still have a need for income-based housing, or we might have a need for a nursing home or assisted living facility, but this is an option for those that don't fit into that criteria. Is that correct?
That is correct, and it's also designed to have a unit constructed that can be cheaper in rent than the Nancy Place option in Smyrna, because Nancy's Place units are around 1,000 square feet. We'll have 40% of these units and average around 600 or 700 square feet.
Right. So basically, I've lived in my house, I guess, here in Laverne about 16 years. Prior to that, I had an apartment. So this is way outdated pricing. But back then, in I don't know, let's see, maybe 2005, I believe my rent was $650 a month. Now that same apartment rents for well over $1,000. As a matter of fact, I think it's $1,200 or $1,300. So the housing has increased over the last 16 to 20 years. And in fact, my own property has, according to the tax assessor, nearly doubled in value, although it hasn't doubled in size. So I'm just asking everyone on the board to consider that there's a need for a whole spectrum, a whole mix, a ratio of different price housing that's affordable for people at all different levels of income on the spectrum in Laverne. So it doesn't mean that there is not a need for the elderly assisted living or more affordable housing for someone that, say, is on Social Security, but this does not eliminate the need for other housing that's just smaller and with less maintenance for independent people that are not under those financial burdens.
Yes, I agree, and it's a great start for providing housing in those other categories.
And I have another question. So right now, I'm in the middle of two different statements. You're saying that the presentation that you provided us at planning was the same or similar to the one you provided at the Senior Citizens Center. We have Ms. Green, Ms. Terrell, Ms. not Ms. Williams, but Ms. Tomlin and Ms. Morellis. They're seeing a different view of that response. So it's two different scenarios for me that I don't know if it was interpretation or misleading, but I would like, since it's been stated that the mayor was there, if the mayor could identify what was presented. Was it presented to the senior citizens that it was going to be affordable living?
You would need to go back into regular order, because the rules are suspended just to ask questions of Mr. Womble, and so when that's concluded, then you'd have to get back to regular order.
Thank you.
Mr. Womble, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
And I don't know if you're able to answer it at this point, because I know you said at the workshop that y'all haven't set rents, you haven't looked at that yet, but looking at your quints, the Unit Ds, the shared living, whenever you're looking at that type of housing, that's not going to have individuals, I would think, paying the same rents as like a Unit A or a Unit B. That's more kind of a shared housing type. Is that correct to say?
That's correct. That's like a great house that has 4 units under the same roof, that each of those units have their own kitchen and bedrooms and facilities, but then there is a common open space all 4 units share that is an area for the social needs of those that live in that building, to where they can visit and be with each other. And it's designed to address this loneliness component that Mr. Schreibman was talking about. And you're correct, these units will be around 500 square feet, and because of their size, they're going to be cheaper than any of the other units.
Okay. Thank you. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Then I'm going to close out the suspension of the rules, and we will go back to regular rules of order.
Okay. Mayor, my question is, as you can see, we have 2 different interpretations of the events that took place at the senior center with this presentation. Can you help clear that up to the board on how you interpreted the presentation? Did you interpret the presentation as It is assistant living or financially, not physically, to assist with low income or not, if you could clear that up for me.
There's not a way for me to clear it up. I was to the side talking with our senior center coordinator as they were presenting on the other side of the room. So there's not a way for me to go through and clarify that. I was on one side of the room, they were on another.
So I have a question.
You weren't involved with the presentation?
I was there to, as far as answer any questions that people may have of me, but Ms. Cooper and I were both there and we were talking through it. So
The developer and his engineer, or the engineer is at the senior citizen, I'm just trying to get this in my own mind, presenting this, was this, were you knew this was happening, and you were presenting it, they were presenting it to the senior citizens, and you're telling me that now that you're not for sure how it was presented to the senior citizens?
no, I'm not saying that I'm not sure. I never used that word, I'm not sure. What I stated was they were on the other side of the room, that I was speaking with Ms. Cooper on the other side of the room from them, letting them present to the seniors, and then answering any questions that seniors may have of me afterwards.
And what were those questions?
They really didn't have any questions. I mean, they were, other than time frame, that was the big thing, which we didn't know any time frames at that point. And so,
Thank you for answering that.
My question is, when was that meeting at the Senior Citizen Center?
Mr. Womble, was that September?
September,
The 4th of 2019.
September the 4th, 2019,
Yes, sir.
and the Planning Commission sent in a favorable recommendation on January 28th of 2020?
That's correct.
You're, okay, thank you.
Any other questions or discussion?
I think that, I mean, you all know me. You know I'm involved with the seniors. Not only am I involved with the seniors at the center, I'm also out in the city a lot. I mean, a lot. I'm around a lot. I talk to a lot of different seniors, not only that don't even go to the senior center, but they're still in the city. They're living with their children, as one of our speakers talked about, living with family members. And they had heard about this, and it was presented to them like it was, again, what I'm hearing from the seniors and from the assistant coordinator of the senior center was that's not how it was presented to them at the time of meeting, that I couldn't be there. And there is a need for something like this in our city. But I talked with the economic development person, and we're kind of in a catch-22 with it, because is there a need? Yes, there is, but this is not the spot for it. I don't have a definitive answer for the spot. But this would have been, in my opinion, a great start, as Mr. Womble said, for senior citizen housing, not a 55-plus community, but a senior housing that was going to be income-based, that would help out. I think it would have been like one of the people I talked to today that was worried about it in general. I said, you know, if Mr. Womble and his company decide to put this into a subsidized type setting, the traffic wouldn't even be bad, because a lot of those particular seniors don't even drive. So there would be little traffic, so it wouldn't hurt the community. The 55-plus community that's over in Smyrna, I went by there and looked at it. Some of these ladies know some people that live over there. Those 55-plus people are people that, in lack of better terms, a lot better to do than the seniors that I personally know and talk to. so they can afford that. And by the time this thing is built, there's no telling what the rent may or may not be. But I can tell you that I don't, personally offhand, I can't think of maybe one or two people that goes to our senior center that would even consider living in a place like this or could even afford it. And I have to agree with the one lady that said that we do something like this, the people that really have a heartfelt love for Laverne is not going to be the ones that's going to be able to afford this.
I have one more question, because I'm struggling with, was this, Mayor, were you invited to the meeting?
I knew of the meeting because I suggested that whenever this was brought to the city just to discuss it, what our thoughts were. My suggestion was take it to the seniors. Take it to the senior center and coordinate that with the senior center coordinator as far as presenting to them and letting them have their feedback if this is something they want. Because quite frankly, my response to them was that I'm a 40-year-old man. I know what a 40-year-old man likes. I haven't been a senior yet, so I don't necessarily know what the seniors would like. And to take it to them, let them present it.
But where I'm struggling with this, if the mayor was invited to attend this presentation, but he didn't pay enough attention to the presentation to know whether or not it's going to be affordable housing for the seniors, I feel, I just never, I'm struggling comprehending why would you go to the meeting and not pay attention to the presentation?
Well, number one, I was there to answer any questions from the seniors, as I stated earlier. So, and as far as why I wasn't paying attention, it was their presentation to present to the seniors. Ms. Cooper had some questions for me. Should I ignore staff whenever they have questions? No. So at this point, that's exactly what I was there for. It's what I said earlier as well.
What I feel has happened is we have the developer in the same room as the senior citizens, and they're both on two different directions, and which I applaud both groups for being here and exercising your rights for this rezoning, the people that are for it and the people that aren't for it. And I just feel right now with you being there, it would have been very helpful to the board if you could relay, because that's the struggle. If there was misinterpretation from the developers group to mislead, because for 3, 4, 5 months, these seniors, I spoke to several of them, you know, over this time, and they were excited. This was a lot of excitement over the last 3 or 4 months. There's people in this room that we've had phone conversations about how excited they were for this development. And then 10 days ago, roughly 10, 12 days ago, is when I guess from the planning, you know, going back to January, excuse me, a little longer than 10 days ago, I was thinking of something else. So going back to the planning commission is when we realized that it wasn't going to be affordable housing. So that would have just helped us if we had a member of the board that was at the presentation, could relay what he felt the presentation, how it was interpreted to, you know, how it was delivered, not interpreted. Anyone can interpret something one way, but the delivery of something is very important.
Well, again, that presentation wasn't to me. It was to our seniors. And so that was to them. I was there simply to answer any questions the seniors may have of me about this.
I submit to you that a 500 square foot dwelling is affordable for some people. So affordability doesn't mean that you can afford it on $1,000 a month or less. Affordability means that it's affordable for some people. That doesn't mean it's affordable for everyone. And I don't think our developers had any survey or anything to tell them what the median income in that room was when they were addressing the crowd. So if they use the term affordable housing, it still applies. It is affordable. A 500 square foot dwelling is not out of the price range for some seniors. And when I think about a 55 plus development, you know, I'm 43. In 12 years, I'll be 55 plus, but I still have a lot of work left to do. Thankfully, I'm still in good health, and hopefully I will still be in good health in 12 years. It won't be affordable for everyone. Neither is any apartment or any home in Laverne affordable for everyone. It's affordable for your own price point.
And on that note, too, I would like to submit, first of all, I came here feeling pretty good tonight, but hell, I'm the oldest person up here on this board, seems like. Because I can afford one of these. I can get one of these apartments if y'all happen to build them. So I would like to say, today, the stock market dropped 1,000 points. That could move what he was planning on doing at $500 for $1 a square foot. That could move that up to $750 because the stock market it's just what it is. And we have to go by that. My only other question is, and if you got a situation where I've been invited to meetings by the community, we're not there to give I can't speak for this board. All I can do is be there and show that I support going there, and I'll answer questions that I can. So again, we got another plus for tonight. I'm actually supporting our mayor on this, and he was there as the mayor on that behalf. The only other solution that I've got, okay, they're asking for they want to change what it's zoned for. If we don't do this, or if we do this, this individual still has to do what he needs to do for that land. Either it's 113 units for senior citizens, which is a start, be it they come from New York or Washington State. These people are going to come in here and they're going to go and move into those apartments. And if we don't, I'm quite sure they're going to build what they can build in that R1, and they're going to get people that are going to move in and do what they can do, or what they can afford, or what they can afford in that location. The only other logical thing that I can see, just running numbers through my head right now, is if we can work out some sort of resolution with the builder and we subsidize it, but we're going to have to shut down the senior citizens center, which is right now, it's costing us around $100,000 a year. We'll shut that down, and then we'll subsidize for the people that want to move into it that live here in Laverne. So we can't have it both ways. Something's got to be done, and we got to make up a decision, because either way it goes, I doubt it very seriously that I'm going to see that land sit there with nothing built on it. Somebody's going to move there. And they're already zoned for R1, which is going to be most likely, they don't have that 55-year cutoff. And they can do what they want to when they come in there. So we need to take all these things into consideration. And the main thing that I'm looking at right now is, if they met in September, and you're telling me that that everybody's done all of their due diligence and drove around into other counties or other cities, and they looked at how people live, and they still got a favorable recommendation in January, something must have been cleared up. So I don't see how we can sit here and say that this is all new. I mean, maybe we need to we can reconsider some negotiations as to what we can do to make sure, but asking for someone to come in that's a nonprofit and make it reasonable to who we want to move into a location, that's not reasonable. That's not reasonable at all. And we have to be just real with it. These people are in it for the business, and that's what they're here for. But I guarantee you, if we've got a waiting list, or if we got people on the other side of the building that this builder has built, I'm quite sure that they're going to fill those spots out either way, either R1 or PDR. It's going to be filled, and something's going to go there. and that's what we need to look at. I'd much rather it be for our senior citizens here, and we can help them, as opposed to leaving it like it is and just let anyone move in, which is the only other option. Thank you for your time.
Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion to approve in a second. Alderman Church.
Aye.
Alderman No.
No.
Alderman Jones.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Aye.
Motion passes. First reading. Number 7, motion to authorize a lawsuit against Mitchell Whitson for a violation of city ordinances. Need a motion to approve or deny.
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Need a second.
Second.
Second from Alderman Jones.
Aye. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking.
We've got an aye from Alderman Jones. Alderman Church.
No, I'm going to vote no. I don't think it's good business for the city to file suit against citizens. I feel we should exercise our rights to the best of our abilities and work it out with them to get this piece of equipment moved so our water treatment guys can replace that meter.
Alderman No.
Can we discuss a little bit?
Well, we've had a motion, a second. We're already in the roll call.
I'm going to vote no.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Aye.
I vote aye. Motion passes. Moving on to number 8, appoint or remove committee members. We've got the Construction Board of Adjustment and Appeals. We have, looks like Kevin Rowland's term expired, and Kenneth Perkins had resigned. We do have one applicant, which is Lance Lee. I will go ahead and appoint him to that board. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Moving on to Stormwater Appeals and Advisory Board. We have got 2 positions open. We've got Chuck Dillons that expired on December 31st, 2019, and Kenneth Perkins, who had resigned. I spoke with Mr. Dillon earlier today, and he does want to remain on this board. We also have an applicant from John Wade Deaver. I will appoint both of those to fill those 2 positions. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those pass. Moving on to number 9, motion to approve bid for the City Hall roof replacement project. Need a motion to approve or deny.
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve from Alderman Jones. Need a second.
For discussion.
Second from Alderman Church. Open the floor up for discussion.
Again, this is something that I asked to be removed from the consent agenda because of the $120,000 quote. After also talking to, with MTask and some other things, Felicia stated at our workshop that she was telling the people that were wanting to bid on this what she thinks, the $60,000 mark. And I don't think we should, when we request bids, I don't think we should give them any dollar amount. And I think that's important for our purchasing folks. I don't think we should deliver any sort of number to any contractor on some work that we need done, what we think it's going to be. And in the past, this board and other boards, when there was only one bidder that came in as the low bidder, but because there wasn't enough, there wasn't any more bids put in place that qualified. At the time, Alderman Brown, said that she really wants to see more bids, so I'm in agreement with her from the past of, I think we just need to see more than one bid before we spend $120,000 on the roof, because it's about 16% above the average cost right now in this region. It's a 16% increase on top of what the rates are today. And that's after speaking to different builders or different roofers in the area. So if the board would consider that, I think it would be responsible for us to do so with the taxpayers' money. Thank you.
It was stated also during the workshop by Felicia Anderson that she didn't believe we would have any other bidders come in as well. That was
She
stated.
didn't believe, so is she psychic?
No, that's just based on her experience doing this.
I totally agree with what you're saying about not giving people a heads up about money. I think this has gone too far, though. I think it's already out there, and I don't know that that building can wait any longer. It's a catch-22 situation. I think any more bids that we were to get in is going to be, they already know about this.
Well, with that said, if you remember at the workshop, we brought David up, and I asked David, did he feel that the city hall, with all the rain that just came through, one of the busiest rainy seasons in, Tennessee, could it last another 30 days to put this out for bid so we can look at this next month, to give it one more try? And I believe, David, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you did say it would survive 30 more days because the shape that it's in.
So now David is a psychic?
Hey, I'm going on, that's how we do things now.
Okay, I'm quite sure that quite a few people thought that they'd be able to go down on Broadway and over in East Nashville and go to work today or Tuesday. They weren't psychics. It was a tornado. We can sit here and we can play around with these numbers, and I will guarantee you that this 125 that was quoted is going to be going up. I mean, the last time I traveled, I spent 30 minutes in New York. I've never been on Wall Street, so I don't even know what the stock market is going to do. But I can guarantee you that if we keep sitting here, and just one point of correction, Felicia did not say that she told them 60,000. They asked her what was the amount that they were going to go to, and she said possibly 100,000. That's what she said. She didn't say 60,000. She didn't give any numbers away, and that's part of her negotiations with them.
Bruce.
And if I was going to go with anyone, please let me finish. If I was going to go with anyone, psychic or not, if that woman's been doing that job as long as she's been doing it, and she's done a hell of a job so far, I would go with her recommendation as opposed to waiting another 30 minutes and waiting for us to get internal damage on this. We've been talking about this roof for the longest, and I don't know where you got your averages from, but whatever average you got on, 5 or 6 different levels of roof that we've got to put on, I don't know what price they were giving you, but they were talking about a flat roof. If we could have a flat roof, if y'all want to take all of this stuff off of this roof and make it flat, we can drop this price. But you're going to raise the price when you take the stuff off of it. So we need to take all of this into consideration. We've been playing with this a little bit too long. By the grace of God, that tornado did not come down through Laverne and knock off this roof and make this vote totally useless because we would have had to do it. But we need to do what we need to do now. And $125,000, $60,000, I just priced getting me a tin roof on my house, and it's right at $55,000. So I know goodness well you can't put something on this building and think you're going to get less than that. So I think we need to do what we need to do, as opposed to sitting here and just waiting another 30 days, and hopefully we don't get another tornado or, the way things going now, heck, a volcano to come up on Murfreesboro Road and burn the place down. We need to do what we need to do now. Stop playing with it.
My concern with this is that, as far as we can already see damage here in this room, but Glenn, if we have a water leak in the server room, that would be catastrophic to our as far as our data center.
Well, the server room is in the police department.
The one that's here, as far as that.
Which room?
Yes.
It would be costly. It would probably be in the $20,000 for the equipment in there.
And it's not something that we get overnight and have set up.
No.
I'd like to say something, that this room right here we're in has new ceiling tiles, and you can see water damage on the ceiling tiles that are brand new. It is not getting better. In fact, it's getting worse. Every passing day, it causes more water damage that we can't see yet because it's dampening insulation and behind the walls that in ways that we can't even identify until we get up there to do the work. It's not going to get better. It's not going to go away. And I did not say that we needed more quotes on this because she's already put it out and got some interest from more than one company. It's just that only the one company submitted this bid. Since our fund balances are healthy, I think there's time for us to just go ahead and move forward with this roof so that we don't have even more costly damage to those tax-paying citizens going forward just because of the delay. Spring is a wet time of year. It's going to rain between now and next month, and we're just letting another month of water damage happen to our facility if we don't act now.
Glenn?
More importantly, from what you mentioned, for that clause in there, is up here. What you just paid to have this refurbished. If that gets wet, that's a problem.
200 grand.
Well, with that,
I
I'll
have
go
a
ahead and call
question.
for
I'm
the
not
vote.
done speaking.
Well, sir, I've already called for the vote. Alderman Church?
I'm not done. I'm still speaking because I
Alderman
feel
Church,
right
you're
now
out of
this is
order.
inside trading.
I've called for the vote. Alderman
Evan,
Church?
This is inside trading when we have a purchase.
Sir, you are out of order. I've called for the vote. Alderman Church?
No.
Alderman No.
Aye.
Alderman Jones?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brown?
Aye.
Motion passes. Motion to authorize the mayor to request a donation of real property from Rutherford County. Need a motion to approve or deny?
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve from Alderman Jones. Need a second?
I second.
Second from Vice Mayor Brown. Any discussion? Alderman Church?
Aye.
Alderman No?
Aye.
Alderman Jones?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brown?
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to mayor and alderman comments. Alderman No.
Well, first thing, I just wanted to, and we've talked about it quite a bit, all our departments, and I guess Bruce for sending everybody to help out, man. I mean, all of you. So I don't even know who all went, who all was involved. It just seemed like I read an email, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and growing and growing. So I had no clue that Michael went. So, man, I mean, that's phenomenal, guys, phenomenal. You are doing an amazing job. We won't have another meeting before our yard sale, so please, March 21st, come to the senior center, buy you some good stuff, not junk, good stuff. I can tell you that if you have a man cave, or if your wife will allow you to have a man cave, or girlfriend, make sure you come, because we're going to have a lot of good man cave stuff. I'm getting a stink eye. That's all.
Women have caves too.
Does women have cave? What do y'all put in a cave?
Wasn't that a,
On the she shed.
Alderman Church?
I would like to apologize for my appearance today with, I'm in my work clothes. I wasn't trying to disrespect the seat that I hold or my colleagues here. I came from the disaster zone on the tornadoes, and I'll be going back there after the meeting. So I would like to make sure that's in the minutes that Alderman Jones did confirm that it was $100,000 that our purchasing told contractors where she thought it would be. And I would like to make sure that legal understands my concern there. I would feel that if our purchasing department is giving numbers to prospects or bidders, in my views, I would like for legal to answer, get back with me after this meeting or tomorrow in the near future. Is this some sort of inside trading? Are we in violation of any rules, regulations? I've seen a lot of devastation over the last several days, and it was very humbling to work beside men and women that lost their cars, their homes, and their jobs all on the same day. But yet they're out there working side by side with the contractors that are there, and some are being paid by the contractors, some are volunteering their time. And when you speak to a husband and a wife and their adult children, and their automobiles are gone, their employment is gone, and their home is gone. I work disasters all over the country, and this is one of the hardest ones I've ever seen on the emotional side. That's all I got. Thank you.
Alderman Jones.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll be the first one to stand in line with anybody that sees Felicia driving here in a brand-new car, since she got so much money made off of this insider trading that she just did on saving this city hall on the building.
Point of
okay?
order, Mayor, I'm out of here.
And I would love to see that any of you thinking that this individual who's done the work that she's done over the years that she's done, trying to gain money off of a situation just like this, if you got one bidder, you're not divulging any information out to one bidder that can be taken as insider trading. And the other part is, I would love to hear him to apologize for the day that he got elected, coming in here acting the way he acts instead of the clothes that he wear. And that's all I got to say.
Vice Mayor Brown.
I would like to really thank the community that we have here at Laverne. We have so many of our employees that have gone to offer mutual aid to our neighboring counties and cities that have been damaged by this devastating tornado. And as a Tennessean, it makes me proud because this is what we're here to do. We volunteer, we offer mutual aid. In 2010, when Laverne flooded, they came for us. And now it's our turn to help them. And it just makes me feel so good to be a part of a community where our love doesn't stop at the city line, where we can help our neighbors, even if it costs us a little bit of money, because they help us. And that is what community is. And that's what Tennessee is. And it makes me really proud to be here. I'd also like to say thank you to Holmes Group for the bicycles that they've offered to the children certain times of the year for the last 4 years, and also for paying off the lunch debts for children that have parents that can't afford to do that. They are members of our community that actually help build Laverne. They have done a lot for us. They've done a lot for the kids, and definitely they're focusing on people that can't afford to do it for their own kids. So I appreciate that a lot. Also, I would like to remind everyone that Greenway and Parks have joined together with their committees for the last couple of months in an effort to get a master plan together for the Greenway and Parks Department. Now is the time for you to offer your opinions. We would love to hear them. We want to hear your feedback in the community. Your opportunity to do that is online. You can go and fill out a survey. And on March the 10th from 5:30 to 7, we're meeting in the library. You don't have to come for the whole time. You can come after work. You can come after dinner. You can take a look at what we have, kind of an idea of what we have. We're here to listen to your opinions on what you want. Now's the time to submit what you want for our community going forward. I think it's good to have that vision and a plan that we can lay out so that in future years, we can work towards those goals together. And finally, I would like to say that, we did have a double homicide here in Laverne. That person has already been identified, but has not been found yet. So if you have any information that can help the police, I urge you to please make those phone calls and let them know. But 4 days prior to that event, we had another double homicide in Smyrna, which again was across the city line, but our attention does not stop at that city line. That couple happened to be friends of mine, personal friends of mine. Andrew Geertz and Melissa Backer. The murderer has not been identified. No one's been arrested in that case, and the police are begging people, anyone with a camera or any information, to please contact the Smyrna Police Department, because that was a Smyrna double homicide. So I would just like for you to do so if you have any information. If you don't and would like to send up your prayers, send your well wishes, just send love and light to those families. They are seriously hurting, and I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank everyone for coming out. I want to remind, if anyone has any donations they would like to see go to victims and of the tornado, please drop those off over at Sonic here in Laverne on Murfreesboro Road. Somer has been collecting those and getting those up to people in need in Mount Juliet. So please remember that. We also have a community survey that's both online, and we have paper copies here at City Hall. We're trying to get better on the way we communicate with everyone. So please take a moment, fill that out. Help us to better get the word out on different things happening in this community. Do want to remind everybody that our Laverne Housing Authority, which was established 19 years ago, has finally met for the first time. And this group is actually designed specifically for 60-plus housing. So that is something that they're going to meet on again, and they will be, I think right now they're just kind of taking it a month at a time, trying to move forward with that. So by all means, attend their meetings. They're open to the public, and let's get that feedback going in. Last but not least, I want to remind everybody March 13th from 5 to 8 o'clock at the Laverne Multipurpose Building. There is a chili dinner for the FOP. We have some families that go up to Washington who are, their loved ones have passed in service. And so this will help offset some of that cost. So please make it a priority to attend this. I think this is something that's great in this community that was put together. And so if you have a chance, be sure to be there. With that, call this meeting adjourned.